The idea of education is to find ways to relate your subject so that your students will understand. The best way to do this is to tell stories. The lecturer's job is to find out what the students bring to the classroom in background knowledge, helping to educate other students and the lecturer. This is the joy of teaching, because as the teacher, you are also as much a student as those who are being educated. And together, you grow through sharing. As an Englishman living in Northern Ireland, this has brought its own issues, but it has also brought about opportunities to learn and share Irish and Ulster cultures. For nearly 2 years, I taught in a Birmingham university after 18 years of living in Northern Ireland. I had a wonderful experience teaching young men and women of many different faiths and nationalities. One discussion was inspired by a young Sikh gentleman who had spent time in a hospital with the only literature available to read, a Gideon Bible. The students knew I was a Christian and wanted to discuss the differences between each faith. Culture and religious representation in media was the topic, so there was a consensus in the class that this subject should be discussed. I agreed, but felt that it was fair to set some ground rules before the discussion started. No one was to attempt to try and convert anyone to their own faith, but that this was a debate to share knowledge and gain understanding. Each person should be allowed to express their views without threatening others and without the fear that they could be threatened by what was being said. What I learnt was the amazing similarities between the Sikh religion and that of Christianity, albeit that different names and personalities were seen as the way to God. For the purpose of this discussion, we should go no further on the topic of religion, only to say that at the end of the discussion, everyone agreed that they had learnt something new and had been given an opportunity to express their own views in a free manner that was non-offensive both to the listener and speaker. What this shows is, in the right environment, given ground rules, reasonable people, regardless of their background, can discuss important issues without offending one another. Where the difficulty arises is when people are prevented from freely expressing their views in a non-offensive way, or are persecuted through threats and violence to prevent them from freely speaking. This doesn't mean that you are free to say anything. With rights come responsibilities. We have to be responsible for what we say and be aware of how this will affect others. With free speech, we have to be prepared to suffer the consequences for our actions and our words. Through education, we can learn the art of communication, learn how to craft an argument through research and comprehension of the subjects we study. We can learn how to defend our own arguments, learn how to use words to express them, learn how to listen to what others have to say in their own defense, and know how to make good counter-arguments. In this way, words become mightier than the sword. If we fail to express our arguments because our knowledge and understanding is lacking, and then turn to violence to ensure our views are enforced, we are the losers. A recent article examined how speakers were prevented from freely exchanging their opposing views in a civilized manner through educated discussion. This was caused through the aggressive nature of demonstrators who forced the vendors into refusing their facilities because of the fear of public disorder. This form of demonstration is yet another tool used to prevent freedom of speech from occurring through the threat of violence. Yet peaceful demonstrations are a valid form of expression, so the question has to be asked if the vendor used the demonstration as an excuse to prevent free speech. Our responsibilities as a society is to ensure that everyone is given an education that allows them to think freely and to discover their full potential through learning. This is a human right. It allows us to seek new opportunities and to prosper. Though it can lead to greater financial rewards, what is more important is how our minds are enriched through the knowledge gained. What has saddened me most is when 16-year-old students have come into my class eager to gain high grades, but have asked me to tell them what to say. My answer has been, I need to hear what you think. and to be told what you've learnt. I need to hear your voice. This leaves them slightly confused. Then they say, but we've never been taught how to do that. So I say, today you begin to learn. These students learn that what they are interested in is okay to explore. They become inspired, discover who they are, and become empowered. What they learn is that the teacher, in this case me, could be wrong, and they need to search out the truth through researched arguments and critical analysis, comparing arguments one against the other, to weigh up arguments and discern what is the truth, or to continue searching and then to express their findings in their own words. They also learn that it is okay to get things wrong, which leads to change and growth through experimentation and research. Students have the right to freely discover what to say, and it is their responsibility to share what they find in a way that allows others to respond in kind, through words. Yet there is a worry that they have chosen to give up this right in preference to an idea that they can be protected by the dominant forces in society without questioning, naive of the dangers that surround them through lack of interest, succumbed by notions of celebrity or glitz of entertainment, and through the glamour of technology. If you give up the freedom education brings, you become a slave to ignorance and cannon fodder for those who want to control you. I once heard a story about a missionary in an oppressed country finding a blank sheet of paper. Everyone around looked at it in fear. When questioned why, as it was only a blank sheet of paper, they answered, because it is what could be written on it.